For welcome everyone. Thank you for joining us this chilly evening. It's quite chilly, but thank you for joining us regardless. So my name is Joan Marwa, and I will be your moderator this evening. Joined with me are three of our Sendyers who are part of our product and engineering team. So for the next 1 hour, it's bound to be a very interesting session where they're gonna tell us about themselves and their tech stories, and yeah. So starting us off, we'll have a brief session where they're going to introduce themselves, tell us what they do, and what they did previously before joining Sendy. Eva, if you just start us off.
Hi guys, I'm Eva. I'm a senior backend engineer here at Sendy. That means I deal with the business logic and databases. And then previously I used to work at Lightmore, and what I did at Lightmore was creating the infrastructure, the web apps from scratch. That's what I did. So Claudia?
Hi everyone, my name is Claudia Koch. Here at Sendy, I work as a support engineer where I'm part of a team that provides technical support to all our stakeholders who consume our applications. Sharon?
Thanks, Claudia. Hey guys, my name is Sharon. I am a senior UX designer at Sendy. My day-to-day involves making sure that our users are able to use our products efficiently and effectively. Back to you, Joanne.
Okay, thank you. I'm Joanne, as I had mentioned, and I'm a support engineer at Sendy. So to start us off, we'll have a few questions. So with that, we're going to engage our panelists. So the first question is, who would you say you are beyond your profession? Claudia, if you just start us off.
Who I am beyond my profession. I'd say I'm a fun lover. I really do enjoy having fun. So it really depends on what it is. So either road trips or computer games, so it really doesn't matter for me as long as I'm having a good time. Yeah.
Okay. So you mentioned computer games. You really are a techie, aren't you?
Maybe.
So the second question would be, since we're all techies here, we're assuming that there was a point in time where you knew this is what you wanted to be in. So I'm just going to ask, at what point was that for you, where you knew tech was going to be part of your career path and this was going to be part of your trajectory? Sharon?
Right, so the light bulb moment for me, or when tech became the thing, was when I wrote my first line of HTML code. And then I saw it pop up. It was Hello World, like most of the people who get into the coding. I saw Hello World pop up on my screen, and then I changed the color to pink, and I was like, I don't care what happens. I am building websites for the rest of my life. That's really how I got into tech.
Okay, fair enough. Thank you for that response. So us as women in tech, I know personally I always get quite a reaction when I say what I do outside my work circles. So I just like one of you to tell me what reaction do you get? Eva.
Mostly, the one I can remember is the worst experience, when I told somebody I'll be working with them and they told me congrats. We were two. There was a male colleague and there was me, and they told me congrats, but they didn't tell the other guy. And I was like, okay, that's not nice. That's not nice at all. But in other situations, it's really nice. People ask me how the industry is, that kind of thing, and it's really interesting. Mostly they're surprised, honestly. Yeah.
Okay. So part of our audience are people who probably want to join tech. So I want one of you to tell us what your typical day is in that. Any takers? Yes, Claudia.
I can answer the question, however, this is not the experience for majority of people who do tech.
Right.
It's primarily for my role as a support engineer. So it just encompasses a lot of carrying around your laptop, being constantly aware of notifications on your phone, being aware of what's going on, the changes, that are made on a day-to-day basis by the developers and the other engineers. So it's really, it kind of takes a lot of your, in my opinion, a lot of your attention, but in a good way, because it also is like a constant learning experience. In tech, in my opinion, there is not a day you can go without learning at least one new thing. Yeah.
Yeah, I agree with that.
If I can just build on what Claudia has said. So as a designer, I think the expectation is that you are drawing something, or you are in front of your screen using color. But contrary to that, there's a lot of conversations that happen internally, externally. You have to be talking to the users, you have to be talking to internal stakeholders. The very final output is normally the design piece. But in between that, in between a project, throughout your day, you have so many conversations with different people who support in making sure that the project, or whatever feature or product we're building is a success.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, so from what I'm hearing, it's pretty dependent. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay. Okay, so what would any of you say has been your most challenging or rewarding project that you've worked on so far? Sharon, yes.
I'll take that. So challenging, so last year we took on this project where we wanted to digitize one of our business units rather, and we started with containers, which required that we spent a lot of time at the internal container depot. There's a lot of research to be done, but on top of that, it was getting to appreciate the complexities that came with what happens at the ICD. So that was challenging in itself, but equally rewarding, just because it's a project that the entire team got behind. We were super excited, and it was the first really huge project that we took on as a team. So I'd say the reward was the complexity, the challenge it provided to the team, but also just the joy of handling around such a grand idea and bringing it to life. Yeah.
Thank you for your response, Sharon. Okay, so seeing as how tech for us would be an unfamiliar territory, I would imagine there are certain coping mechanisms that you have whenever you enter into any unfamiliar territory. So I'd like one of you to tell me about mentorship specifically. Like, do you have mentors? What has your experience been with mentorship? Yes, Eva.
Personally, I don't have a lot of experience with mentorship. What I normally do is I have a lot of peers, so my network basically. What I use my network as is as an extension of my skill set. So if I have a problem, I take it to them, they help me solve it, and they do the same in their case. So basically we build on top of each other. Yes.
If I could add something to what Eva has said, if you actually look at how majority of people grew in tech, it's either talking to people, consulting, or Google. Google is like your best friend when it comes to tech. You just Google your query or whatever the problem is and it has an answer. So I think mentorship maybe is something people should actually start investing in, because I think there's a big assumption when it comes to tech that you'll just figure your way out as you continue going, but like Eva said, peership is really important. I think that's something people should really invest in when it comes to like just your working network, not your social network, but your actual working network where you're surrounded by people who kind of have the same skills as you, and you all are able to like build on top of what everybody has. Yeah.
Thank you for your responses. Okay, so we all know that tech is ever changing. So what interesting personalities do you follow, or what podcasts or what reads have you found thus far, or even currently are you interested in, and why?
I'll take it from a design perspective. So one person that I avidly follow, almost obsessively, is this guy called Peter Mallows. I don't know if I'm pronouncing his last name right. I think I've butchered it. But he is brilliant. He is one of the very initial pioneers of user experience design, even before it had a name. And he has over 20 years experience in the industry. Gosh, I feel like I'm marketing him real hard, but guys, you need to listen to him. And he also wrote a fantastic book called Org Design for Design Orgs. which focuses on how to structure a design team around an organization or basically the needs of a company. And I think he's absolutely brilliant. I also follow his podcast, so for me it's Peter Mellows.
Okay, so that's a note for the audience if anyone is interested in design. Yeah, okay, so one of the things that we've experienced is like probably there's less representation in tech because we all know, tech is pretty it's male dominated, so it's predominantly male. So what has your experience been with that, and how do you think we can change that going forward? Just to bring in more women into tech and just to let them know that's an interesting place to be in, and yeah.
I'll take that. So for me, I think we should support each other. Innately, I believe we all have this competitive behavior, which is ingrained in us, and it's strengthened by our education system somehow. So once you cross that, you realize that you can't make things up on your own. You need a support system. So what I believe we should do is support each other. So if you are looking to get into tech support, get a support system, people who will encourage you, who will tell you, support you and not discourage you into getting into tech. Because honestly, if you don't surround yourself with the right people, you can't make it, honestly. Yeah.
Anyone who would like to piggyback?
Yeah, I'll piggyback on that. There's something that Will Smith always says. I don't know if it's Will Smith, but there's someone who always says, just like, beat really hard at your craft. There's a lot to be said about support systems, but then there's also a lot to be said about initiative and the effort that you put into your craft. I think we don't always have to wait for somebody to welcome us into an industry. I think it's up to you to walk in and penetrate into that industry, which also it ties in a sense to mentorship. What Sheryl Sandberg said was that usually you don't go out and find a mentor finds you. And that has been my experience throughout my entire career. I've never gone out and said, I'd like you to mentor me. Usually the mentors will come as you're beating hard in your craft, as you're going about your business. And I think it's the same thing with the industry. If you work really hard at it, keep your head up, chin up, usually the rewards start sort of manifesting as you just do you, right? Yeah.
I think that's true, because we can say that was an issue 10 years ago, 20 years ago, but it's 2020. Like, you have access to the internet. There's so many unis coming up, so you can. I feel like Sharon said, right now it's like up to you as an individual to invest in yourself. If it's something you want to go for, reach for the stars.
Yeah, I agree. We have been given the space, so it's up to us to just claim it. Yeah. Okay. So last but not least, what advice would you give to your 20-year-old self? That's everyone to answer. So Eva, you can just start us off.
Can Claudia go, and then I'll...
Have the audacity of a man. That's one of the biggest advices I ever gave myself when I started working. My first job, I was the only lady for almost 8 months, and you see the way men talk, and you sit down and wonder. That's what actually goes on in your head, and then you come to realize even shy men, they have some confidence that women sometimes they sit down and they urumia someone, and they're like, this company doesn't even look big. What we'll do, I'll just tell him I do not a big salary. And another man is gonna enter that room and kunja his face and be like, I want X amount. And if you don't want me, it's fine. I feel like that's one thing people should invest. Like, believing in yourself to the point where you really know, whatever people think, it doesn't move you. It's what you think is what's important. I think that's really important advice. Not just anybody in tech or just anybody coming up. Just believe in yourself. Have the audacity of a man. You're gonna go places if you do. Yeah.
Cool, I can take that one next. I feel like a lot of what I say is inspired by the people who inspire me. So I'll quote Matthew McConaughey. I listened to him a lot. There's this talk he gave during a graduation or something. And he says, decide for yourself who you're not. And then you start figuring out who you are. And I think a lot of times people try to influence us and make us to be their ideal self, or who they think we ideally could be. And so it's going to be like, oh, I think you're a great graphic designer, or you're a fantastic researcher, and you're just here being like, oh, but I really wanted to go into back-end engineering. And so the process of deciding who you are not eventually leads you to who you are and who you're supposed to be. And that's just something that you should very boldly and audaciously go towards, and not wait to be defined by people that you look up to, people who feel that they have an influence or an opinion in your life.
Okay, I think I'll add on to what Sharon has said. For me, I would have told myself, just be you. When you're starting out in tech, you think you have to be in hoodies, you have to be in such a thing, and if you're not techy enough, that kind of thing. But honestly, there's space for everybody to be anyone. Honestly, if I want to show up with heels, it's unfortunate that I ended up not liking that style, but it's okay. Just be you.
Okay. Thank you for your responses. But also, even just to piggyback off of what Claudia mentioned, I think most of us suffer from like an imposter syndrome, where we don't think we're good enough. And the truth is, you are. You just need to believe in yourself.